Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Mayor Mike. I'm at 740 Main Street, and we're bringing you the answers to the Ask the Mayor questions for the week. But before we dive into the questions, we are heading toward Christmas Eve. We are heading toward New Year's Eve. We're in the middle of Happy Hanukkah. So I want to wish everybody out there, to you and your family, a very, very nice holiday season. And if 2022 wasn't quite everything you wanted, hopefully 2023 will be better. So let me say that before we jump into the questions. Today we have 3 questions, and an employee issued a statement to the town, so I want to read that. And from there, I guess we'll start with the statement first. And actually, I said it was from an employee, and it's actually from Kevin. He's a resident, so my bad. He says, "Merry Christmas, Mayor Walsh, just a word of appreciation." And he suggests that everybody go out to the town website, https://www.easthartfordct.gov/news. And that's really just the town's website. And under the search, you can click news. A whole bunch of news, current events, everything you should know, from COVID-19 clinics to vaccinations to flu shots to town hall closings to when to put your trash out, is there. Kevin said scrolling through the news feature was very informative and well organized. Maybe a prompt for others to try this page from time to time would connect citizens with a great resource. Kevin, you're absolutely right. I would also go one step further and encourage everybody to send your email to my attention at the mayor's office, and we'll subscribe you to the Pulse, where in addition to the town website, you can get this news. Kevin ends by saying thanks again for your replies and quick responses to inquiries throughout the past year. So Kevin, have a happy holiday season. I appreciate the outreach, and may 2023 be as good to us as it is to the town of East Hartford. Submission number 170, and I think you'll know we've been at this for the better part of 10 months, probably approaching 11. And this is submission 170 from Sansare. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. She has 2 questions. Can we get wrong way signs at Forbes and O'Connell Drive? And I'm going to send that question to the police department and to the public works department. I want to know what kind of traffic issues there have been that would warrant the wrong way signs. Intuitively, I don't see it as a problem, but I want to ask the folks who have access to the data. As you'll see from the past, and in this particular case, I'm data driven. Question number 2, what is the ETA, estimated time, for the Route 2 construction completion? In Sansare, spring of 24, I fear to say. There's a number of bridges that need further construction. They are working on it. They'll be delayed quite a bit as the winter weather comes in. They have a full construction season ahead of them, predominantly because of the bridges. And then ultimately the final plantings will be done in the spring of 24. So we do have at least a good year of this left. I don't think the plantings will really bother the traffic in the spring of 24, but as I said, we've got another full construction season left related to Route 2. Moving on to submission 171, this comes from Robert. Robert also asked 2 questions. Why is Pine Street in such disrepair? If you haven't seen it, you should. And Robert, I will. I do get out in my vehicle quite often, and I track down these issues so I see them for myself. Looked it up on the town's road inventory, and Pine Street is a 0.15 mile. It's what they call a local road, and there are 4 types of roads. And for anybody who's seen this before, you'll hear me cite whether it's leaves or roads. We have 150 miles of roads. They are broken down into arterial, which are the busiest roads, like the Hills Street, Forest Street, Brewer Street, Oak Street. Those are all arterial roads. Collector roads, those are the streets that feed the arterial roads. And then local roads. Finally, we have cul-de-sacs. So if you're on a local road or a cul-de-sac, you will not get asphalt treatment as frequently as the arterial roads and the collector roads. And that's because many, many fewer people drive on the local or cul-de-sacs. That being said, Pine Street has a score of 47.3, and that is on a scale of about 0 to 100. So there are roughly half the roads in better shape and half the roads in worse shape. So unfortunately, Robert, you will not see asphalt anytime soon. I don't believe in the next 2 to 3 years. But I want to get you that information, and I will take a drive, and if it's in significantly worse condition than the 47.3 rating, I'll take a look at that. Finally, Robert asks about speeding cars as a constant on Larrabee Street. Where are the police? So, Robert, I was out on social media yesterday, and there was a similar post in the East Hartford Crime Watch. And traffic is a problem. We're admitting that. People are going way too fast. It's a COVID phenomenon. It actually has a little bit more to do with COVID. They're making cars faster. They don't feel like they're going as fast as they are, but they are. There's some sentiment that the police officers won't chase somebody for a speed crime. That will result in that person perhaps T-boning a family heading to an event, and the outcome for simply a speed issue would not be a good one. So there's valid reasons why we don't chase people. There's valid reasons or explanations as to why cars go too fast. But simply the drivers just aren't thinking. That's the only thing I can offer you. So I went out on social media yesterday and tried to provide some information, which is what I do with these broadcasts. And I have a Department of East Hartford Police. This went out November 23rd, so a little less than a month ago. And it was a tally through October of how many tickets or infractions or written warnings we issued. And by the end of the year, so another roughly 10 days, we will have issued over 7,000 tickets of one sort or another. That's up by 2,000 over last year and up by almost double or 4,000 over the year before. So take a step back and let that sink in. Our police department is on the job, our police department is active, and our police department has issued 2,000 more tickets, a total of 7,000, than they did a year ago. And that's with a limited number on traffic, usually 1 or 2. That being said, I was completely deflated on social media when people came back and said, it's still not enough, and the cops don't do enough. So I've come to the conclusion that social media is the me place. It's not about your community. It's about what's happening outside your door that you're annoyed with. In the back and forth that I went with one particular lady, rather than focus on the 7,000 tickets, she had focused on the vehicles, and there was an uptick in vehicles, a little more than 100, who had left the scene. And she said, see, that statistic alone proves that East Hartford is not safe. I respectfully disagreed with the woman. We interpret data differently, but we try to look for holistic community solutions. And 7,000 tickets goes a long way, but when there's more than 50,000 cars in East Hartford, and many, too many of those drivers really don't think about their fellow citizens and they go through stop signs, yeah, we're going to have a problem. I'm not sure your government is the absolute solution, but we'll keep working the problem, and one day maybe enough people will get the message. That being said, I'll move on to submission 172, and this comes from Karen. She said she'd like the town, and I'm paraphrasing a little because I wasn't able to clearly read what she had written. She's looking to freeze the taxes when a senior citizen turns 65 and owns their own house. And I'm going to respond to Karen by saying the East Hartford Town Council, both when I was on it in the early 90s and most recently, just a few months ago, did look at this. And here's the issue. So you are 65 years old, and you might be paying $4 or $5 or $6 or $7 or $8 or $9,000 of taxes, and that may go up by 2 or 3%. Generally, tax increases are under the rate of inflation in East Hartford. We are 117 of 169 towns, so we are in the bottom third of our per capita tax rate. Now, there are people out there going, no, that can't be, Mike. We have some of the highest taxes in the state. It's actually not accurate to say we have some of the highest taxes in the state. In all candor, we have some of the lowest taxes in the state. That's not a license to add more taxes, but that's a realization that we have a community that chooses to deliver robust services, from paramedic services to your door, to trash collection, to sidewalks, to street lights, to a $900 credit for senior citizens who own their own houses. So going back to, not to get into a tax discussion, but going back to Karen, we did look at it. I, as a town councilor, and the current town council, And it became extremely difficult to say we are going to freeze taxes on a particular household for 20, 25, or 30 years. That's number one. And number two, do we just waive them so they're gone for good? Or do we tack them onto the house as a lien so that when the homeowner does sell the house, the town is paid their back taxes over time? So those are two distinct ways you can do it. And I'm going to guess if Karen is listening to this, she's jumping up and down saying, no, 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 I meant to waive them. That's the kind of the dichotomy that the town council looked at. Instead, they wanted to deliver tax relief, and when I said they, the town council, wanted to deliver directed tax relief to seniors. So what I did is I went onto the town's website and I looked at all the tax exemption programs that the town offers. We offer exemptions and tax reductions if you are blind. We have elderly and totally disabled homeowners local option, which piggybacks on the elderly and totally disabled homeowners state program. We have energy systems, solar tax exemptions. We have motor vehicle exemptions from property tax for veterans. We have motor vehicles, commercial truck, tractor trailer, and semi-trailer exemption applications. We have Social Security disability exemptions, and we have a variety of veterans exemption programs. But I wanted to drill down on the local option because Karen requests a good point. Every year from January 15th through May 15th, a 65-year-old resident who owns their own house can come into town, and if their 2021 income limits, and those will change for 2022, which I don't have yet, $61,400 for a married couple and $53,100 for a single person, and those will increase. Those are $15,000 above the state requirements. As long as you have assets, excluding the value of your primary residence, less than $100,000, you will receive a $900 tax credit against your property tax bill. So Karen, well, completely freezing taxes for 65-year residents, 65-year-old residents who own their own home isn't in the cards because the council has already looked at it and there were problems with implementing it. There is I'm going to say the most generous in the state of Connecticut, a $900 dollar for dollar tax exemption, provided you have income under 61.4 for married or 53.1, and those limits will be going up, and you have less than $100,000. The council was interested in keeping taxes low, but they also wanted to deliver tax relief to people who needed it most, hence the income limits. Finally, last question. That comes from number 172, and it's really from me. And it's just to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and have a great holiday. May 2023 be as good to you as 2022 was. I'm Mayor Mike. This is the holiday season. Stay close to your loved ones. Have a great day.